So we're going to move into the last question. And Marlika is going to actually give us the definition of kind of a preface for the question. So go ahead.
So in talking about allyship, there's been like a couple definitions that have been kind of floating around about what the word means and what you think it means or what it could mean for you. And one that I found that was really cool was taking radical action to build true equity for equality. And allyship is without action, it's just thoughts and prayers. And for me, that made the most sense because we hear a lot of times like, I'm praying for you and you're in my thoughts. But if there's no action behind it, if you're not actively seeking someone out and actively speaking to them and actively showing that you care and want betterment for them and for you and your relationship, then you're not doing anything. There's no allyship, doesn't work that way. So I know you have like a good question for that too.
So I wanted to ask you guys, and obviously you as well, again, chime in with your comments and thoughts. What is your definition of the term allyship, and what have you done to be an ally? Do you think that you need to be in a relationship with somebody of a different ethnicity or different culture to be an ally?
I think yes. I think yes to all of that. Like I shared earlier, my friend that I had that invited me out to his home, he at the time was an ally. I got to learn a lot about him, a lot about his family, about where they come from. Currently, where he stands to this day, he's not currently an ally. He's had a heart change over the last 5 or 6 years, but I still consider him a friend, and he does as well. But I think it's important to have friends of different ethnicities as an ally because they give you, like Isaac said, they give you a different perspective. And when you have a different perspective, that allows you to see things from different angles. A kid's favorite movie is Spies in Disguise. And one of the things that happens in Spies in Disguise is that Will Smith's character turns into a pigeon. But the pigeon's vision is amplified because of the way that his eyeball can move. So he actually has the ability to see 360 because there's nothing blocking him. And so when I thought about that movie every single time that we watch it, I thought about the fact that that's exactly what it means to be an ally. It means to be able to have my back, have my front, have my side, and you don't have to worry about if I'm going to get attacked because we have each other's backs. And it helps if you have a different perspective. I can't expect Jordan to understand what it's like to know because you're 7'6".
6'4".
I can't expect you to know what's going on the ground, right? What's happening as far as what insect may be on the ground. But my daughter, Violet, can because she can get on the floor and she might even eat that thing. So, because she has a different perspective than you, it doesn't make her insubordinate. It doesn't insubordinate. It doesn't make her any less effective, but it does make her valuable if she can see something that you can't.
In her own right.
And in her own right. Yeah, exactly. And so, that to me is what it means to be an ally.
It's all of that, and being a teammate. Being part of the troop. I almost think about it as soldiers that go out in troops together. Everybody's bringing different skill sets and perspectives. They have different roles, but there is a common goal. And you do whatever it takes, even if it means hopping on a grenade for your fellow soldier for the bigger goal. And to me, that's what it is getting on the same page of what our long-term purpose is, and then what's the best role I can play. Just like what Marlika said, it has to have action, because that's what prayer should lead you to. So, yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that too, because I was going to ask you guys, what are some practicalities that we can do and implement in being an ally?
When I think of allyship, I really think of the word intentionality and reaching out to your friends, praying for them, calling them, or maybe I've actually been told not to call them because I hear many in the Black community are just exhausted from sharing so much. So I think just sending a text just saying, hey, like I'm for you and I'm with you in this, like I don't know. I'm learning, but please like help me understand when you feel ready, and just like I'm not only praying for you, but like I'm here for you. And also donating. I think there's a lot of really good organizations that help the African American community and the Black community in different ways. Just from local nonprofits to larger organizations, and I think just showing your support in a more intangible way would also be really good.
I think that I know for me personally, I have, like I said, I'm first gen American, and I stress that because that puts me in a different box here in the States. And so for me, when I think of an ally, the practical steps that you can take as an ally, and I'm mostly speaking to my white brothers and my white sisters, talk to your racist family about being racist because they are. It's that simple. You should speak about these things because they're happening, because they are literally happening. Now, if you truly call yourself an ally, you have to understand, what are you an ally to? Who is the enemy here? Is it other white people? No, because that's stupid. It's every white person is not bad. Every Black person is not good either. But this is not about pinpointing one person to make them the enemy so that we can demonize them. But it's the systems that are in place. And we, as a collective of human beings here in America, make up that system. So if we're talking to other people about the pegs, and they can knock down the pegs, eventually the building will fall, right? And so, yeah, talk to your family about what it is that's happening. And even if you feel convicted, like, oh man, I've been racist as well. Yes, it's okay for you to forgive yourself. It's okay for you to not live in that shame. But it's not okay for you not to go and to talk to your family about it. Because if you don't talk to your family about it, what you're doing is you're being an enemy to what it is that we're trying to do versus being an ally.
I thought it was interesting when you were talking about knocking down some of the pegs, and it made me go back to privilege. And because I did some research on allyship, and it was so funny how they were talking about using your privilege, and it's for those who lack it. So again, I like to think about analogies and examples to help me better understand it or better explain it. And by definition, privilege is a right, immunity, or benefit enjoyed by only that person beyond the advantages of most. So for me, I'm standing at about 6'4", not 7'6".
6'14".
I'm standing about 6'4", and I benefit in a lot of areas, right? Strictly because of my height, particularly when I go to the grocery store. So I'm walking in, I'm going to get a few things, and I see a woman, elder woman, trying to get some things off the top of the shelf. I see her, she's about to step on the bottom shelf in order to get that. I'm like, hey, look, you don't need to do all of that. I got you. I just take it off, hand it to her. She says thanks, and then I go about my day. And there's another example of me I got invited to play basketball with a friend of mine, and he was already out there. I met him out there. I walk into the gym. He tells me, hey, we got 2 downs. 2 downs means 2 games before we can play. So as I'm like, dang, I'm a little tight, but okay, I'll wait. So then as I'm walking around, I'm shooting and everything, another guy that's about to play, he's about to step onto the next game, says, hey, do you want to play? I'm thinking, you just told me there's 2 downs, so you got a squad already. So he's willing to say, you know what, I'll take you, but why? Because of my height, right? The way that I look, the athletic stature kind of symbolizes or gives off the idea like, oh, this dude can play. And then I noticed that, and I've always noticed that. So what I did was say, yeah, I'll play with you, but you definitely want to pick up this dude that's with me. He's standing about 5'3", 5'4", white dude. Now, He's been there before me, about 20 minutes or so. I step into the gym and not 5 or 10 minutes later, I get picked up ahead of 2 other teams because I'm 6'4". That height privilege is already there. I didn't do anything to earn that. It was just, I'm 6'4". I can't do anything to stop that. But what I did was I used my height not only for my advantage, but for the advantage of others. So that right there, I think, is another form of allyship as well, and using your privilege.
You know, we all have power, and sometimes your power is in your words. So make sure that you speak to those that still have bigoted mindsets and that they try to pass off as tradition or how things were, or whatever. Addressing that's a power. There's power in height. There's power in if you have money to spend on Black businesses and charities, do that. There's power in are you in a position to hire people? You know, to making or are you an influencer? Do you have influence on social media, where when you share different businesses and artists and people doing great work that has meaning and people follow it, wherever your powers are, using it for that end goal, and not being complicit and letting things stay how they are.
There's a great post I read on Instagram, actually, and it was this woman sharing her experience from shopping at Target, and her and this man, who's a Black man, they both walk out of Target at the same time, and the alarm goes off, and they both ask the employee who saw it. He approached the man and said, "Hey, like, I need to search your stuff." And the woman, who's white, she was like, "Well, don't you need to search my stuff too?" And he's like, "Why?" And he like essentially let her go. And she's like, "Well, I could have stolen something." And he just kind of looked at her weird, like, why are you suggesting this? And she's like, and so he searched the man's bags, and I don't know what she did, but she ultimately went outside and waited for the man to come out and said, so that man met her outside of Target, just kind of like just leaving Target. They ran into each other, and she's like, "I'm so sorry. It ended up being me. Like, my friend gave me this new purse, and it still had the little security alarm thing in the inside, and that was me. That wasn't you." And he was like, "Wow, thank you." And he's like, "But if it outside of this 2020 with the protests, like, would you have asked them to have checked your bag?" And she was like, "No, I'm sorry." And so I think that to me just spoke as a really powerful reminder. Like, we need to stick with our Black friends. If they're getting questions around us, I mean, even if we don't know them, I think it's good to just stay around and just say, like, okay, let's make sure they're being treated fairly. Let's make sure nothing breaks out. I know that I've had a heightened awareness if I see police or if I see security and they're talking one-on-one with a Black person. I'm just like, kind of just going to nonchalantly just like be on my phone, blah, 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 and just kind of like keep my eye on them, and just like pray, like, God, please, like, let nothing bad go down. So I think just with this 2020 and on the heightened awareness of racism is really just being an ally of, like, let these truths stay in your heart. It's not just a trend. It's not just a campaign or a movement, but like, let this just kind of mold you as a believer and as an ally in the church, and just to watch out for those who are more oppressed. And I think that as a white person, we can use our privilege to just kind of like stand by and just like, hey, officer, like, I'm just here. I don't know, we don't really need to like talk to them, but just kind of standing around and
Well, we get what you mean.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I just thought of something that I wish that I meant to say the first time I chimed in, was also getting involved in what's going on in your city when it comes to the city council and the mayor's office and the local politics and government that's going on around you is going to have a way bigger effect on your daily life than what the federal government is doing. So just getting educated on what your sheriff's doing, what your education board is doing, what your mayor is doing, and then also getting informed on the candidates for the upcoming election for your local offices, because that's going to play a huge role, and is also one of the main reasons not to brush off speaking to your racist relatives, because even though those generations will eventually end, for now they can vote.
Yeah.
So educate them.
I think I've had like a couple conversations before, but one thing I really kind of just want to enforce is like just making sure, because we really just know that like racism and social injustice is really just a heart issue. It's really just the heart of the matter. Like people, like whatever you believe in your heart is what's going to come out of your mouth. You know, like it's ultimately that's what happens. But at the same time, I think really just like focusing on who's in your intermediate circle, like the people that you influence. Like you said, like if you're an influencer, but ultimately we're all influencers. We influence somebody every day, regardless if we have 700 followers or 2.5 million. We all influence somebody, and so I think at the same time, like those people that we immediately like, don't stop sharing. Like one of the things that was like trending was like you posted a black square on Blackout Tuesday. Like what are you gonna do now? Like it's little things like that. Like people think that we are very much a trend culture where if something's trending, we're all talking about it. But when it's not trending, it doesn't get mentioned. Like this is not a trend. This is literally people's lives that we're dealing with. This is not something that's going to stop and go away in about a day or two. Like even though the media is not showing protests, people are still protesting. Even though people aren't, they're doing sit-ins. Things are still happening. Just because you're not seeing it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. And so I think just paying attention to especially what's going on in your own city, for real, like local, like, register to vote. It's time, let's go, like elections coming up, all these things are happening. Make sure you pay attention to what's happening directly around you. So that way, if someone asks you something about what's going on with this or what's going on with that, you can verbally say, this is what's happening. And this is who you should be looking to find those answers as well, so.
I kind of want to, it's funny because amplify is the word I'm going to be using too a lot. So you're talking about circle of influence. If you're not sure what to say, then amplify the voice that does. So for the most part, yeah, I can come up with some words and some thoughts, but there are times where I have no idea. So of course I'm going to be kind of silent. I'm going to be taking in a lot of information, trying to listen, trying to learn. But for the most part, if I have somebody that is speaking and I agree with their sentiments, then I'm going to kind of back that, or I'm going to repost that. I actually did that with a video, because I when I first started to see everything and the gravity of it, I didn't know what to say. I definitely didn't want to post. Forget that. Because again, your words are one thing, your steps are another. So as people were posting, I was reading them through everything, and yeah, okay, that makes sense. I don't agree with that. Okay, yeah. There's a video specifically for the Black community that I was concerned for. And it was two Black men, two different generations, and one of them standing off to the side. An older man saying, I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. We can't keep doing this because nothing has changed. This is the only way that's going to change, or that's going to change. And he had something in his hand, or he was in anger. He was trying to burn things down in a sense. And then the man sitting across from him, the same Black man, is saying, no, we can't do this. We have to do it differently because this generation beside me is watching us. So how are we going to handle this? And again, the reason why I reposted that is because the man that was saying we have to do it differently, we have to make the change while we have this chance right now, is because that was the exact sentiments that I would have echoed. So if you don't know exactly what to say, amplify someone else's voice. What do you guys think?
Absolutely. I think, yeah, you should amplify those who know what to say. That's why we have leaders. In our own right, every single one of us, we are influencers, but we're also leaders. we lead something or someone or some people into, greatness or their own demise. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. I would say that as a people here in America right now, it is definitely our responsibility to look to our local leaders, though. To touch up on what Isaac is saying, I don't think that we're going to be able to do this just from a marching standpoint, that we have to actually change the laws, and it definitely starts locally, and then federally, and then globally. But we have to deal with our own communities first. To speak to us as a church, if we're not doing this as the church, then what are we doing? What are we doing? If we're not dealing with this aggressively, because to live like this, to live in this space where I'm going to be judged just for leaving my house, it's a dangerous place to be mentally. And so have grace and patience with us in this time. Become a true ally. Don't just talk about it and walk that out. This is exactly what Jesus would do.
Yeah.
It's exactly what he would do. And so we discredit his name and his legacy by not doing what he's called us to do, to look after the broken, to take care of the poor, to feed them as well. And so, yeah, as a church, we really have to step it up and change a lot about us. So, yeah.
I think one of the biggest things too is that we don't want to look at this time and this moment in history that will, we don't know how long or if this is ever going to be resolved completely in any way, shape, or form. But we don't want to look back at this time and regret that we didn't speak up, that we didn't share that post, that we didn't talk to that one person. Like, I don't want to have to talk to my kids, and when they ask me what happened in 2020, and they're like, "What did you do? Like, what was your part?" I don't want to have to be like, "Well, I thought about doing this, but I didn't end up doing it." No, I want to say, this is where I stood. This is who I talked to. This is what I said. This is the moment that I was in, and here I can show you. Like, I want to be able to show them that, because I don't want to have regrets on my life to look back and say I didn't do anything. We're saying don't be on the wrong side of history this time. Like, make sure that you know exactly where you stand, and that you, in 5, 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, at the end of your life, you're not going to be laying in your deathbed thinking about what you should have, could have, would have done. Like, we don't want to be that way. We really want to be, we're living in this moment, let's live it.
All right. Well, that is it for today's episode of Make Room. Thank you again, guys, for tuning in. If you want to reach out, please go to the Make Room page. There's an email. You can definitely go ahead and email me for any questions, or if you want to be a part of the panel, please don't be afraid to reach out. And of course, leave comments, your thoughts, your opinions. We definitely want to hear what you have to say. And of course, you can also directly message me. And also, I want you guys to get in touch with or get to know the panelists a little bit more. So I'm going to give them the floor to give them their tag handles or anything like that, so you can reach out to them. All right. Is there any Instagrams that or do you not want to? You don't have to if you don't want to.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook. My Instagram is at Sarah Olson Official, because there's a lot of Sarah Olsons. But I'm the official Sarah Olson. And then on Facebook, I think I'm just like at Sarah maybe _Olson. I don't remember. It's not the same. But if you find me on Instagram, you know what I look like for Facebook. So
you can find me at Danny's Brain. At Danny's Brain. That's my artist name, creative name. You can find me everywhere. Danny'sBrain@gmail.com if you want to email me any questions, anything like that.
You can find me on Instagram at Merlika, which is MERLIKA, Leica.
Get it right.
On Instagram. And feel free to DM me, ask me any questions. I'm more than willing to talk. So.
Isaac Knox, and on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, it's just I'm Isaac Knox. That's Isaac with 2 A's and 1 S, just like in the Bible and every famous Isaac, but no one spells it right. So yeah, I'm Isaac Knox everywhere. I'm a goofball and a professional freestyle rapper, so all of that's on my pages.
And I just want to add, my name's Sarah with an H and Olsen, Olsen, not Owen.
So you're just gonna throw in that you're a freestyle rapper and
Just like casually past it.
yeah.
Well, only for the social. I'm just letting the social medias know that that's what to expect.
Okay.
They're not just gonna come and see some mild Caucasian speaking on social justice. That's like 10% of what's on my pages.
You're right. No, that's amazing. So again, I want to thank the panelists for coming out and being open to these conversations. And of course, you can reach me on Instagram at Words with Jim, and you can also reach me on Facebook, Jordan Montgomery. And again, you can reach me again on the Make Room page, email, direct message, comments. Thank you again. See you next time.